Hi, I'm Trevor Carlee. I'm the animator behind the Buffy What If trailer. A lot of people were asking me to break down all the scenes in the trailer, so I'm just gonna step through and kind of explain what each thing is for the most part.
I got places to be, big day.
I took the original scene with Glory from The Gift and then turned it on its head by having, instead of her facing off with Buffy, it's Buffy, Faith, and Kendra. I feel that one's self-explanatory. This was the most fun I had, just the three of them in a ring, which is why there's multiple scenes of them together, because I just enjoyed living in the world where they exist together. The next few shots, I basically wanted to establish that it already exists in the Buffyverse lore, alternative universes. So I went with Anyanka turning her head in the Wish, Buffy completely zoned out at the end of Normal Again, Vamp, Willow, and Doppelgangland at the Bronze, and Giles smashing Anyanka's amulet and the Wish. So those are all pretty much straight lifts from the show. I had obviously reference footage from the show to base those off of, and I went through those pretty quickly. So that was just to establish this actually isn't that far fetched from what is in the Buffyverse already. And then we start getting into the different things. So obviously the next shot is Spike in the same position as Xander from Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. The next scene is Angelus getting chipped by the Initiative instead of Spike. I think that would be a really interesting storyline to see just exactly how maniacal Angelus would get. So that's a really fun one. This two-shot sequence is Buffy not making it to the top of the tower fast enough. I think a lot of people picked up on that. And Dawn ultimately doing what she set out to do at the end of The Gift before Buffy stopped her, which is to sacrifice herself.
What are you doing?
I have to jump. The energy.
It'll kill you.
This one's actually one of my favorites. This is Principal Snyder being an ally to Buffy instead of the menace that he is.
Buffy Summers, your champion.
As much as I love Principal Snyder as the menace and constantly thwarting them and just being a pain in her side, I truly love the idea of him secretly being someone who supports Buffy and all that. So
I guess that explains it.
What?
Explains what?
this is just me wanting to live in the world where Buffy, Faith, and Kendra all exist and work together. I just think that's such a fun world to live in and explore. And I keep coming back to it kind of the same way they come back to Captain Carter a bunch in the Marvel What If series, just because it's such a great character and great what if scenario that you could really tap into it and bring it into other storylines. The next shot, this is Adam kind of overseeing his army of demon human hybrids essentially being successful and sitting on his throne. This is self-explanatory. Buffy in jail. There's multiple times obviously throughout the show where Buffy could have ended up in jail, and we both thought, me and Kristen thought it would be interesting to see what it would be like if Buffy was in jail and how that would alter her storyline. And then here's a fan favorite, which is Angelus snapping Xander's neck instead of Jenny, and how that would affect the team and how the story would unfold if that is what happened. This is technically not a what if because this is Dawn opening a portal using her key powers. This actually happens canonically by the end of season 10 in the comics, and is a huge story point, and it's how everything is kind of resolved in season 12. But we thought it would be really interesting to see what it would be like if Dawn had these powers much sooner, possibly in season 5, but also season 6 and 7, just seeing how a lot of things might have changed had she been able to tap into this a lot sooner. This is just a fun shot of Buffy on the back of Spike's motorcycle. Mentioned, but never seen in the show, so it was just fun to throw it into one of these worlds.
Motorcycle is loud.
And then also a fun little tidbit is this poster I made of It's All About the Cheese with a No Slayer graffiti on it. I thought that was fun. That was just a fun little Easter egg. Who knows? Maybe this is a what if world where the Cheese Man's actually the villain and he takes over Sunnydale. This is Buffy and Joyce fighting side by side. I really love the idea of giving Joyce either a backstory or bringing her into the fold somehow. And I just really love this idea of Joyce being more involved in the actual fight. This is self-explanatory. Buffy and Adam fighting side by side. This is actually inspired by the T'Challa episode in Marvel What If, where you see Thanos being a good guy, and I thought that would be interesting to see a villain on their team. This is just a fun shot that's inspired by Marvel's What If trailer, where Captain Carter also is jumping and her silhouette's in the moon. This is partly what if Faith came sooner, or what if Faith was the first Slayer, or what if Faith had to go undercover cheerleader. But mostly it's just a fun nod to bring it on. I just thought it'd be funny to put Faith in the cheerleader costume because it's so opposite of who she was in the show. This is just another action shot, not necessarily tied to any story. This is Xander going dark. His eyes go black here the way Willow's do, and it's honestly harder to see because it's only one eye. I put the patch on just so it was, since it's such a quick shot, I wanted it to be clear that it was Xander. I wanted it to be like, you see this eye patch and you're like, that's Xander, and then if you catch the eye going black, then you can kind of pick up on it, but that's what that is. That's dark Xander, essentially. And then this is really fun to me. This is Vamp Willow and Dark Willow together, and just the idea of what that world would look like really fascinated both of us, because it's, you know, what would happen? Would they team up? Would one of them team up with the Scoobies to stop the other? There's countless things that you could really tap into with this. Would they be into each other? So I think that's a really fascinating world to explore. And then obviously coming back to the three Slayers beating the hell out of Glory was so fun. I honestly just want to keep animating the three of them doing stuff. And then this final shot, which seems to, a lot of people had questions about this one. This is supposed to be Buffy in a Renaissance dress in the past.
What the?
It doesn't quite come across as much as I would have liked. In hindsight, maybe adding more extras and a horse and carriage and like really focusing on the background a lot more than just Buffy in a Renaissance dress would have helped. But you know, maybe if it gets picked up. But yeah, those are all the stories in this. We actually have a whole list of scenes and ideas that we've been building over the years as we've done our podcast, another Buffy podcast. So we've got dozens and dozens of ideas, and then this is just kind of what made it into the cut. And that's it. That's this one. Thanks for checking it out. Spread it to all your fellow Buffy friends and get it out there. Maybe we can get the show made. Worst case scenario, I'll just make a bunch of fun little shorts of what if scenarios and we'll have that. And the very worst case scenario, we at least have this fun trailer. So thanks. I'll see you next time.